All right, so let's talk about the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves. I said, and I boldly declared, and I stand by it, that this will be the most interesting first round matchup this year. And I think that the Heat and the Hawks will be second. They might be tied with the Nets because I'm interested to see what the Nets do against the Celtics. But I believe that the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies, they're both fast-paced teams. They have two younger stars in Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. So I was excited for this matchup because typically you don't see a mesh of two stars like this. Like you see Anthony Edwards as he's rising and you see Ja Morant as he's rising. Imagine, and don't get me wrong in my comparison, imagine LeBron versus Dwayne Wade like when they both were year 3 in the league. And I know year 3, Dwayne Wade, well, I think, year three, Dwayne Wade won the championship, and then year 4, LeBron went to the finals. Imagine them facing off in the playoffs as they ascended. That's what I see from Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. We might not see this again, depending on how their careers go. But they gave us a show. Both of them scored over 30. You had Anthony Edwards that scored 36 points, and you had Ja Morant that scored 32. But here's where things got sticky, and here's where it became a problem for the Grizzlies, where they lost 130 to 117. Ja Morant was surprisingly ineffective in the second half. He started off going in. 19 points in the first half. No one could stay in front of him. He was making Patrick Beverley look like a fool. And he was hitting so many great shots, mid-range shots, a bunch of close-up shots. He was doing his thing that first half. 19 points. He scored 13 points in the second half. And mind you, he only had 2 field goals in the second half. Now, one of those field goals was a nice, impressive poster dunk on D'Angelo Russell that I actually had to rewind. I missed it because I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking, so I had to rewind it. All I heard was like the commentators going crazy and the Grizzlies fans just going federal. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. But they showed the ticker. They were like, hey, they showed at the bottom of the screen, they said Ja Morant had like that he's only scored 1 field goal since the second quarter. I'm like, for real? And it was the fourth quarter. And he scored a garbage time field goal like around towards the end of the game when the game was out of reach. He scored a garbage time field goal just to lay it up, and he had 32 points. That's not acceptable. I understand that the Grizzlies went 20-5 without Ja Morant. They were a surprisingly great team without him. They beat the Suns without him. I think they beat the Warriors. Of course, the Lakers weren't all that great this year, but they beat the Lakers. Like, they really were doing amazing without him, which was surprising. And a lot of folks said that hurt his MVP chances. But my thing with Ja is that he can't rely on his guys just stepping up. He has to be the star. See, when I look at the Timberwolves team, the Timberwolves have an abundance of scoring. You have your big 3. You have Karl-Anthony Towns, that's a 3-level scorer. You have Anthony Edwards, that is your playmaking, slashing forward. And you have D'Angelo Russell that can get a shot. He's a 3-level scorer, and D'Angelo Russell is surprisingly quick. He can get to the basket. Now, D'Angelo Russell only had 10 points this game. He had the same amount of points as Patrick Beverley, but you can't expect for D'Angelo Russell to only get 10 points for the rest of the series. Like, D'Angelo Russell's going to have a game where he's going to get 20 or 30, just like he did in the play-in game against the Clippers on Tuesday. But the thing is that you look at the top to bottom scoring, right? Anthony Edwards, 36 points. You had Karl-Anthony Towns, 29 points, 13 rebounds. Michael Beasley, 23 points. You had Josh McDaniels, 15 points. You had D'Lo and Pat Bev. They both had 10 points. That's a dearth of scoring, and that's great. And then at the top of that list, you have Karl-Anthony Towns that is basically matching Anthony Edwards for points. But when you look at the box score for Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, Ja had 20 free throw attempts and only made 2 field goals after a great first half. That's not how you win a game. And yeah, you had Dylan Brooks that had 24 points, but I didn't see the level and volume of scoring from the Grizzlies that I did from the Timberwolves. And that is going to determine this series. I believe that the Grizzlies are going to figure it out because remember, this is not the NCAA tournament. This isn't the Super Bowl. This isn't, the NFL playoffs. This is a 7-game series where it's a chess match with the coaches and also with the players. It's on them to get into the film room and adjust. So now the Grizzlies have to get back home court advantage, and they have to win either one or two of the games in Minnesota. I'm not that cavalier to say, oh, the Timberwolves got it off of one game. I'm not that cavalier to say, oh, the Grizzlies are going to come back and gentlemen sweep them. I'm not that cavalier. And the reason why I say that is because the Timberwolves are a good team. And folks are so singular with who's good and who's not. Both teams can be good. Both teams can be great. I think that the Timberwolves are on the cusp of something amazing. And I don't think that Cat was far off. I don't think the Timberwolves will be a dynasty. You never know. But I don't think they'll be a dynasty, but they're gonna be a title contender. Because remember, the Warriors are getting old. The Jazz just ain't doing it. The Lakers, their time is almost up because LeBron is closer to the end of his run than the beginning. So Luka's going to emerge, and he's going to start winning series. He's going to start dominating the field. Ja Morant's going to come up. He's going to start dominating the field. Zion's going to eventually come back, and I think he's going to prove a lot of folks doubt him and body shaming him. He's going to prove a lot of folks wrong, and he's going to continue to put up those historic numbers that he was putting up last year. So who else is coming up? The Grizzlies. You have Anthony Edwards that is, to me, I think that Anthony Edwards is going to shape up to be one of the best shooting guards in the league. It's going to be a battle between him and Devin Booker. The Suns are going to be on the rise. I think that the Suns are learning how to win, and once Chris Paul moves on, whether he goes to another team or retires, I think that with Monty Williams at the helm, and you have James Jones that's going to be building that team, I think that they're going to be formidable, and Devin Booker, to be honest, hasn't even hit his prime yet. So when I look at the next powerhouse teams in the West, the Timberwolves are up there right with the Grizzlies. And I think today they showed you that because the media have been all up on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have been everyone's media darling, and they deserve it because they had a great regular season. But they would have fared better to me, I think, playing the Clippers than they would have playing the Timberwolves because there's so many ways for them to beat you. If Cat's going in, man, he's going to the basket, he's shooting, he's getting to the foul line, and then if Anthony Edwards is on, there's no stopping him. The only problem I have with Anthony Edwards is that my guy don't pass, bro. Like it was one play where he went to the hole, and granted, he did get an and one, so I guess he's the baller. He's the number one pick. He's the guy. He had 36 points today. He knows better than me what to do. But I'm just saying, when the defense collapses on you, every time you're not going to get a clean shot, especially in the playoffs when like the referees will be more ginger on blowing the whistle. When you have Patrick Beverly over there that actually is a pretty good three-point shooter, I would rather Anthony Edwards kick it to him because I don't want Ant to get injured, and most likely he'll get like a very contested shot that's a low percentage shot and it'll miss, and that could be a momentum shifter because the Grizzlies are now running full court and they're going down to their end, and Ja Morant might get a highlight dunk, and that might get the Grizzlies crowd roaring, and that might spark a run. So that's my thing. Like now, granted, he made the right decision because that was an and one play, but he got to start passing. The defense of any team typically is going to collapse to help on you because you're that explosive of a scorer. You can dunk over one guy, so other players on the defense are going to help. So pass the ball. When Ant gets that, and the Timberwolves might be unstoppable, especially if you continue to put shooters around him. So what the Grizzlies need to do, they need to find some scoring outside of Ja Morant. Like they need someone to match Ja Morant the same way that Karl-Anthony Towns matched Anthony Edwards. That's what they need to find for Ja. And Ja needs to step up. Ja should have had 36 points. You went to the line 20 times, but you didn't make a field goal. You only made 2 field goals, and one of them was garbage time. Nah, man. Like he really had 30 points, if you want me to be real. He really had 30 points. He not on 32 points. He had 30 points and shot 16 of 20 from the line. Ja, that's unacceptable. But I believe that he'll do better. I think the Grizzlies will win game 2. And I believe there's going to be a 7-game series. And when they win game 2, it's going to get real interesting going into Minnesota. But I want to say this one last thing. There was another protester that came out on the court on the sideline. And this time, they chained themselves to the basket. And it is all because of the same cause of Glen Taylor owning a chicken farm and they killed some chickens. because allegedly like the chickens were sick, so they, killed them because they were sick, all the different stuff. And the animal rights activists are not rocking with Glen Taylor. They want him to step down from his positions. They want him to divest from different businesses that he's a part of. So they're going to keep going and keep going. At this point, I think that Glen Taylor needs to say something. And if Glen Taylor, responds to this or releases a statement, I guess we can say the protest worked. I guess we can say that. But at this point, it's becoming asinine. I think that they're wrong for continuously going game to game and like literally stopping play. I think that is a lot because they stopped play for like 5 to 6 minutes because that woman was chained to the basket. And to be honest, you didn't know what she was going to do. You never know nowadays. Now, she wasn't going to do anything, but you never know in this day and age when we just had a mass shooting in South Carolina. So you never know. But Glen Taylor, say something, man. Apologize, do something, talk to them, because they can't do this every game. Because I feel as if it's going to get worse and worse. And they're going to do something crazier and crazier. Because first it was glue. Now it's a chain. What's happening next? Like, I'm trying to preview what they're going to do to disrupt the game next. On Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever the next time, they play game 2. I'm like, dang, I'm doing a pregame show for them. Like, what are y'all gonna do? But I just think that it's a lot. They have the right to peacefully protest. And I guess that's what they're doing. But it's just a lot, and Glen Taylor just needs to respond. Also, one last thing, this has nothing to do with the game itself, but I just want to say that I am a big fan of media, and I think we all are, and we all agree now that play-by-play and color commentating during a basketball game or a football game or any type of sports game is an art. And everyone cannot do it. Because for some reason in the first quarter, it was like 5 minutes left in the first quarter, it was like audio technical difficulties for ESPN. So because of that, they went to commercial break, and Stephen A. Smith, Jalen Rose, and Mike Greenberg were forced to sort of pick up and do play-by-play as they were trying to sort things through. And it's hard, man. And I did it when I was at Fort Valley State University. I was the play-by-play and the color commentator, man. Don't play with me, man. I was the play-by-play and the color commentator. Don't play with me, all right? I did both at the same time, and sometimes I had to do it by myself. And trust me, it is not for the weak. Talking for almost 2 hours straight, your mouth foaming, you get thirsty, you get hungry after the game. I'm telling you, it is not for the weak. So Ryan Ruocco, Hubie Brown, you had Richard Jefferson's getting better, Vince Carter's getting better. Y'all need to put some respect on these folks because it's different than doing a first take type show where you're just giving takes and opinions. It's different. And I think Stephen A. Smith and Jalen Rose saw that. I think Mike Greenberg did a serviceable job, but everyone has their place, just like on a basketball team. Just like we're saying that Ja Morant is the star and he has to step up as the star, and then he has to find some guys that can produce at the same level as him to contend with the high-scoring offense of the Timberwolves. It's the same thing for the broadcasters. You have Ryan Ruocco, that's play-by-play. You have Richard Jefferson, that's the color commentator. And then you kick it back to Stephen A. and Jalen Rose and Mike Wilbon. They're providing you the personality and also the broader context of the game and what's to come. They're setting the table for what happened, and they're breaking things down in a broader context. But they found it hard to look at the game that was going on in front of them and say, hey, this is what Anthony Edwards did that I wish he would not do. Karl-Anthony Towns should do this to affect the game moving forward based on what they're seeing. That's something else. So I think we need to put some respect on the media, and everyone plays a role to make the production run smoothly, both off camera, on the radio, producers, all of that. Everyone plays a role. So I think we all got a little media literacy lesson, and we got a media production lesson and a sports journalism lesson all in this game. We had what, like, First Amendment protesting, we had all of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had a political discourse, we had a whole entire journalism one-on-one class, and we had a class on an offense and how to play team ball, because the Timberwolves did that, and now they're leading 1-0 on the Grizzlies. It's going to get serious, man.